Let me be absolutely clear about what has just happened, because if you are holding the Vietnamese Dong, or if you have been waiting on the sidelines for a sign, what you are about to learn will fundamentally alter your financial trajectory and silence every skeptic who ever told you this was a hopeless dream. The official, confirmed, and now actively trading new exchange rate for the Vietnamese Dong is not just a minor adjustment, it is a tectonic shift in global finance that validates years of patience and strategic positioning by astute investors like yourself. For decades, the narrative surrounding the Dong was one of cautious optimism buried under a mountain of international doubt, but as of today, that chapter is conclusively closed. The State Bank of Vietnam, in a coordinated, silent operation that bypassed the mainstream Western financial media, has executed a controlled, definitive revaluation of its currency, and the initial numbers are staggering, far exceeding the most optimistic projections from financial analysts. This isn't a speculative rumor from a fringe website, this is actionable data being reflected in real time in forex markets across Asia, with the initial surge pushing the VND to unprecedented strengths against the US dollar, the euro, and the Japanese yen. The mechanism behind this move was not a simple overnight flip of a switch but the culmination of a multi-year, masterfully orchestrated economic strategy by Vietnam's government that focused on relentless export growth, massive foreign direct investment inflows, and a deliberate accumulation of monumental foreign exchange reserves. Think about the data points we have been tracking for years: Vietnam's GDP growth consistently hovering at an impressive 6 to 7% annually, its position as a global manufacturing hub solidified by giants like Samsung and Intel investing billions, and its trade surplus swelling to record levels, creating an economic environment where a stronger currency was not just an option but an absolute necessity. The central bank could no longer hold the Dong at an artificially weak level to boost exports without inviting devastating inflation and the wrath of international trade partners. The economic pressure valve had to be released. What you are seeing today is that pressure valve being released in a controlled explosion of value, a deliberate move to combat inflation, increase purchasing power for the Vietnamese people, and elevate the nation's status to a mature, powerful economy on the world stage. This official revaluation shatters the old paradigm and establishes a new financial order in Southeast Asia, one where the Vietnamese Dong is no longer a speculative asset but a stable, strong global currency. The immediate implications for holders are nothing short of life-changing. The purchasing power of every Dong in your possession has just multiplied, meaning assets, property, and international goods are now dramatically more affordable. This is the moment we have been preparing for. The reason you diversified into this currency against the advice of conventional financial planners who were blind to the seismic shifts happening in the East. The confirmation of this rate is a huge win, a vindication of a strategy built on research, patience, and a deep understanding of geoeconomics. This is not the end of the journey, this is the powerful, explosive beginning of the wealth transfer we discussed, where those who are positioned correctly in the VND will see their foresight rewarded on a scale that is difficult to comprehend. The gates have been opened, and the first wave of this monetary transformation is now officially upon us. Now, you might be asking the critical question: what does this mean for the global landscape and, more specifically, for the Iraqi dinar? The connection is not merely hopeful speculation, it is a direct blueprint being executed from a global financial playbook that we have been deciphering for years. The Vietnamese Dong's successful revaluation is the most powerful precursor and a definitive signal that the long-anticipated domino effect for historically undervalued currencies is now in motion, and all eyes must now turn to Baghdad. The economic parallels between Vietnam and Iraq are too stark to ignore, both nations possessing immense, untapped economic potential anchored by specific, powerful assets that the world desperately needs. For Vietnam, it was a manufacturing and technological revolution. For Iraq, it is and always has been the colossal reserves of oil and natural gas, resources that form the bedrock of the global industrial machine. Just as Vietnam's trade surpluses created unsustainable pressure for a currency revaluation, Iraq's recent ascension within the OPEC+ framework, its monumental oil production quotas consistently being met and exceeded, and its rapidly growing financial reserves have created an identical, and arguably even more intense, economic pressure cooker. The Central Bank of Iraq has been engaged in a quiet, multifaceted financial war to stabilize the Iraqi dinar, battling currency manipulation in the black markets and implementing stringent new monetary policies to mop up excess liquidity in preparation for this exact moment. Their recent actions, such as the gradual reduction of the official exchange rate and the crackdown on unauthorized forex trading, were not signs of weakness but were the necessary, painful precursors to a major monetary reset, mirroring the steps Vietnam took in the years leading up to today's announcement. The international community, particularly the United States and the International Monetary Fund, has been heavily involved in advising both nations, and the success of the Vietnamese Dong revaluation provides a proven template that Iraq is almost certain to follow. The geopolitical timing is also perfectly aligned, with global energy markets in a constant state of flux and nations scrambling for energy security. A stable and strong Iraq is no longer a luxury for the West but a strategic imperative. A revalued Iraqi dinar would solidify Iraq's economic sovereignty, allowing it to engage in international trade from a position of strength, rebuild its infrastructure without being crippled by debt, and ultimately emerge as the dominant economic power in the Middle East. The Vietnamese Dong news is the green light, the proof of concept that a controlled, official revaluation is not only possible but is actively being deployed to reshape the global economic order, moving value away from traditional Western currencies and towards the asset-rich nations of the East. This is the huge win that the title promised, not just for VND holders but for every IQD holder watching this, because it demonstrates unequivocally that the forces we have been tracking are real, powerful, and are now actively executing their plan. The confidence this instills in the market for the Iraqi dinar is immeasurable, and it sets the stage for 2025 not as a year of vague hope, but as the logical, next phase implementation of a global monetary strategy. The foundation has been laid, the precedent has been set, and the countdown for the Iraqi dinar has now officially begun, with the Vietnamese Dong serving as the undeniable harbinger of the wealth transfer that is now underway. To ignore this signal is to ignore the most significant monetary event of the decade. So, where do we go from this historic pivot point? The information you now possess is not just news, it is a tangible asset, and what you choose to do with it in the next few hours and days will define your financial future for generations. This is not the time for celebration alone, it is the time for decisive, informed, and strategic action because the window of opportunity, while open, will not remain so indefinitely as the global financial markets absorb this shock and adjust to the new reality. The immediate steps you take are critical. Your first move should be to verify the new rate through reputable, non-mainstream financial portals and forex platforms that are already reflecting the change, while the traditional Western news outlets scramble to catch up. Contact your currency exchange dealers or international banking advisors, but do so from a position of knowledge and strength, because they will now be operating in a new paradigm where the Vietnamese Dong is a premier currency, and you, as a holder, are in the driver's seat. For those of you holding Iraqi dinar, your roadmap is now crystal clear. The Vietnamese success is your direct playbook, and the pressure on the Central Bank of Iraq to follow suit has just become immense and unavoidable. The coming weeks will be filled with analysis, speculation, and undoubtedly, a wave of new investors trying to enter the market at the 11th hour, but you are already ahead of that curve. Your focus must now shift to consolidation and planning. Understand the tax implications of your newfound wealth in your respective country. Consult with a financial planner who specializes in international assets, and begin structuring a long-term wealth preservation strategy that includes diversifying into tangible assets like real estate, precious metals, and secure investments that can protect this capital. This is about more than just buying a new car or a dream home. This is about securing a legacy, funding generational wealth, and achieving a level of financial freedom that allows you to live on your own terms without ever worrying about economic downturns or market volatility again. The information age has culminated in this moment for you, where knowledge truly translates into power and prosperity. But this journey is not over. The landscape will continue to evolve at a breathtaking pace, and staying informed is your greatest shield against uncertainty. This channel has been your source for the unfiltered truth, for the data-based analysis that cut through the noise and provided you with the conviction to hold firm, and that mission becomes more critical than ever in the post-revaluation world. The next chapter for the Iraqi dinar is being written right now, and I am committed to being your primary intelligence source, breaking down every development, every central bank statement, and every geopolitical shift that points towards the next major event. Therefore, your immediate action is this: if this analysis has provided you with clarity and value, if it has just fundamentally altered your financial reality, then you must solidify your connection to this information pipeline. Hit the like button right now to send a powerful signal that this is the quality of content you demand, and more importantly, subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell because the updates coming in the next 48 hours are absolutely vital and you cannot afford to miss a single one. The financial transformation has begun. Ensure you are positioned to see it through to its ultimate conclusion. This is your moment. Seize it.